Something unprecedented is happening in the heartland of America. The fields of corn, soybeans, and wheat are still vast, but the crops aren't moving as they used to. Recent data for the first quarter of 2025 has sent shockwaves through the agricultural sector. U.S. farm exports have plummeted by 94%. This isn't a minor dip, it's a catastrophic collapse threatening the foundation of American farming. For generations, the U.S. has been the breadbasket of the world. Now that identity is in crisis. Imagine bustling ports now silent, grain elevators full with nowhere to send their crops. For every 100 containers shipped last year, only 6 are leaving now. This is a reality felt in empty shipping lanes and anxious farm kitchen tables. The scale of this decline has caught everyone by surprise. It's the result of global events, shifting trade relationships, and domestic policies. A perfect storm for American agriculture. The world is still buying food, just not from the U.S. American farmers face a massive surplus and a terrifying lack of buyers. The implications reach far beyond the farm, touching every part of the rural economy and the broader U.S. economy. As of June 9th, 2025, we're witnessing a pivotal moment for American agriculture. Understanding how we got here is the first step toward recovery. To grasp the crisis, we need to understand why exports are vital for American farmers. The U.S. produces far more food than it can consume, so finding customers abroad is essential. Export markets are the lifeblood of the agricultural economy, absorbing the surplus that domestic markets can't handle. When exports stall, oversupply floods the U.S. market, driving prices down and hurting farmers. Agricultural exports contribute tens of billions to the U.S. economy, supporting jobs in transportation, processing, and equipment manufacturing. When export revenues vanish, the entire rural support system begins to crumble. The pain spreads quickly, affecting local businesses and the national trade balance. U.S. exports have also been a pillar of global food security and American diplomatic influence. When the U.S. stops exporting, global supply chains are thrown into disarray. Other countries scramble for new suppliers, and uncertainty grows worldwide. The current crisis isn't just an American problem, it's a global one. The empty ships in our ports tell a story of economic loss at home and instability abroad. The ripple effects are felt everywhere, from small towns to international markets. This export collapse is reshaping how the world feeds itself. The stakes are high for farmers, communities, and the global food system. America's role as a food supplier is at a crossroads. The world is watching to see what happens next. The future of American agriculture hangs in the balance. What caused this 94% plunge in farm exports? It's a perfect storm of factors. First, unresolved trade disputes led to retaliatory tariffs, making U.S. products more expensive abroad. Government subsidies softened the blow, but trust and trade relationships were damaged. Global events, pandemics, regional conflicts disrupted supply chains and raised shipping costs. Major importers diversified their food sources, signing deals with Brazil, Argentina, and Ukraine. Some countries boosted their own food production, reducing reliance on U.S. imports. U.S. policy changes signaled a retreat from global leadership, pushing buyers elsewhere. A strong U.S. dollar made American goods pricier, even without tariffs. Combined, these factors created a toxic brew for U.S. agriculture. Buyers turned away and exports collapsed. It's a multi-layered problem with no easy fix. The system that once seemed unshakable is now deeply vulnerable. The challenge ahead is daunting. The collapse hits farmers hardest. It's not just numbers, it's their lives. Imagine a fifth-generation farmer in Iowa, silos full of grain, but no profitable market. Domestic oversupply means prices have crashed. Farmers face selling at a loss or paying to store crops, risking bankruptcy. Tight margins and high upfront costs make survival nearly impossible. Many can't repay loans or keep up with equipment payments. The dream of passing the farm to the next generation is slipping away. The stress is relentless, pushing even the most resilient to their limits. Stories of families selling off equipment or livestock are now common. The mental health toll is severe, with anxiety and despair spreading in rural communities. The people who feed the nation are struggling to feed their own families. The crisis is personal, immediate, and devastating. The farm crisis ripples through rural America, hitting every business and family. When farmers stop spending, equipment dealers, feed stores, and diners all suffer. Job losses spread beyond agriculture. Mechanics, truckers, and store clerks are all affected. Communities spiral downward as businesses close and families move away. State economies falter, especially in places like Iowa and Nebraska. Tax revenues drop, forcing cuts to schools, roads, and healthcare. The pain spreads as states face budget shortfalls and tough choices. Nationally, the collapse worsens the U.S. trade deficit. Agricultural exports once offset deficits in other sectors. Now, the gap widens. A weaker trade balance threatens the dollar and economic stability. The crisis in the heartland is a problem for all Americans. Urban or rural, everyone is affected by the collapse. The stakes are national, not just local. American farmers now face fierce global competition and shifting consumer demands. Countries like Brazil and Argentina have ramped up production, offering cheaper alternatives. Buyers have more choices and can easily switch suppliers if U.S. prices are too high. The U.S. can no longer take its market share for granted. Global tastes are changing. Many countries want locally produced food for security and sustainability. Governments promote buy local campaigns and invest in urban farming. This trend could permanently shrink global food trade, challenging export-heavy nations like the U.S. International buyers also demand higher sustainability standards. U.S. agriculture is sometimes seen as less environmentally friendly, hurting its image abroad. Competing now means meeting new standards and adapting to new markets. The U.S. must innovate to stay relevant. The world's food system is evolving fast. American agriculture must evolve with it. Facing this crisis, solutions must come from every level: farm, government, and global. Farmers are diversifying, growing specialty crops, raising livestock, or converting land for new uses. There's a push to build local food systems and processing facilities, creating new domestic markets. Direct-to-consumer sales and online platforms are helping farmers reach American buyers. Government action is urgent. Emergency loans and subsidies are needed to prevent mass foreclosures. These are stopgap measures, but they buy time. Long-term, the U.S. must repair trade relationships and negotiate new agreements. Promoting U.S. products abroad and rebuilding trust is essential. Innovation, investment, and diplomacy are key to recovery. The path forward requires bold action and collaboration. The crisis is daunting, but it's also a chance to build a stronger, more resilient agriculture. Diversification and innovation are the future. New crops, new markets, and new technologies. Local and regional food systems can make supply chains more reliable and communities stronger. Investing in processing and distribution keeps value and jobs at home. Farmers' resilience and ingenuity are unmatched. They've weathered storms before. With government support and renewed global relationships, recovery is possible. Collaboration and vision will shape the next chapter. By sowing the seeds of change now, American agriculture can thrive again. The heartland can feed the nation and the world once more. The future depends on what we do today.